This Gervonta Tank Davis situation is getting serious. What happened?
All I'm saying is I'm not from here. I don't know her exact address.
Okay, that's fine.
what I'm saying.
I'm not asking for her exact address.
Oh, whoa, yo, hold up. When I first saw this, I wasn't sure if it was true coming from a confirmed source. There's a lot of fake news in the game. This video is about Gervonta Tank Davis, and I have an update for you all.
Okay, so last I heard, right, I haven't kept up too much, but last I heard he was on the run, essentially. He was running, I believe, from law enforcement in some type of capacity, in some type of way. And I guess they've recently caught and apprehended him. So that's what this is about. Let's look more into it.
Now, reports have come out that make it fully official when it comes to Gervonta Davis. This is information that I will contain, stay tuned to the end, that directly affects one of, if not the biggest name in the sport of boxing right now.
Word.
However, I'm not going to jump to conclusions here, but I do want to show you exactly what's being reported. And of course, then and only then, I'll give you guys the Boxer Ego thoughts. So buckle up. Let's get it in. This is what went on. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing. I got a breaking scoop. TMZ Sports has an exclusive that Gervonta Davis has finally been arrested after weeks-long search.
Wow.
Gervonta Davis is currently in police.
Where was he at? Like, where was he hiding out at? I want to know. Like, what's the details on this?
In police custody 2 weeks after officials put out a warrant on his arrest over DV allegations. A spokesperson for the Miami Gardens department says that Gervonta was scooped up on Wednesday. U.S. Marshals were involved in the search for the undefeated boxer, but the circumstances surrounding how he was ultimately tracked down, it remains unclear at this time.
You know, it's really unfortunate because it's like you come from the ghettos of Baltimore, right? Tank is from Baltimore. You come from the hoods of Baltimore. You work your way up, you know, you're doing workouts on a regular, consistent basis. You locked in, you focused, you in the gym doing what you got to do, training, you know what I mean? Eating right, doing everything you got to do. And through that, you become an immense success. You know, you become a huge success in the boxing world. You know, I believe his record is what, like 50-0? I don't know what his record is, but I'll put it up on the screen. He's one of the most successful boxers of today, you know, within the sport. And just to know that bad decisions, especially when it comes to women, and I don't know the situation. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know if it's his woman, baby mom, whatever the situation is, who is maybe antagonizing him to get to this point, you know, whether she's the toxic source or maybe he's the toxic source. Maybe both of them are. But you can tell that the situation just got very out of hand to the point where he's running from law enforcement now, you know, after domestic violence allegations and whatnot. So it's like, this is just a reminder to all young men, but especially young black men out there in the world. You know, you have to move intelligent, especially once you've reached a certain level of success. You have to move intelligent. You have to move strategically. You know, never allow nobody, especially a woman, who will leave you at a whim's notice as soon as her feelings get out of whack. You know what I mean? Who will be on the next dude's meat in a heartbeat. Don't let them be the reason why you lose everything that you've worked so hard to attain. You know? Like, it's one of the saddest stories and one of the oldest stories of time.
As TMZ previously reported, authorities in the 305 announced January 14th, 31-year-old was wanted on 3 charges, which, if you follow my channel, I already went over. And this
battery, false imprisonment, and attempted kidnapping. God damn, bro, what happened?
This is, if not, a better indication of why you should be subscribed to me so you don't miss a thing. Officials said it stemmed from an allegation with a woman at a local gentleman's club. The woman who claimed she had an intimate relationship with Tank for 5 months said the boxer approached her while she was working at this establishment at 4:15 a.m. late October. The woman said that Tank grabbed her, pulled her by her hair, and so on and so forth.
Now look, I don't want to just automatically assume that he's correct and she's lying, or that she's correct and he's lying. Obviously, this is going to be a situation sorted out in the court system. So let them do what they do. I am not a judge. I am not a lawyer. I am not in any type of, I'm no legal advisor in any capacity. But damn, like, bro, if this is true, if it is true, I have no proof, no definitive proof to, substantiate this claim. But if it is true, it's incredibly sad. It's incredibly disappointing. As a man, I do feel like you should be in control of your emotions. And I know it's easier said than done. I myself have fallen victim to a shorty just doing the absolute most. You know what I mean? And me not being, I'm 30 now. I can reflect back on my 20s and the way that I handled certain situations with people in general, but especially with women, where I could have been a lot better. I could have done a lot better. I could have remained a lot more calm. I could have, been very stoic in certain situations and not allowed a woman's emotions to, dictate my emotions, essentially. So it's just very disappointing, bro. It's very disappointing to see this, to hear about this. If it is true, I feel bad for the woman who, was treated in that manner. It's sad. And if it is true on the other end, where she's lying and he didn't do anything, let's say, then it's still a sad and very fucked up and disappointing situation, because now that'll never be removed from his reputation. To an extent, to a certain degree, it will always be, you know what I mean? It'll always be a part of how people perceive him.
So she told the cops Tank forcefully escorted her down a stairway to the parking garage. And again, I went over all of this stuff. Once they were in the parking area, she said Tank then released her. She ran towards her coworkers for safety. The woman, who cops did not identify, went to the local station 2 days later and filed a report. Officials stated the lead detective obtained some kind of reviewed footage that corroborates key elements of her story. Prior to his arrest, Tank was sued by a woman on Halloween over the same altercation.
Wow.
This alleged assault derailed Tank's fight with
Jake Paul. Yeah, I remember that. He couldn't fight Jake Paul. That's why Jake Paul had to fight the other dude. I forgot his name. I think his name's Anthony something. Whatever. I forgot. I digress. But this just reminded me that his fight with Jake Paul was essentially just thrown away and voided because of this situation that he was in, with a woman alleging that he abused her. And it's not the only woman within the past, let's say, 6 months who's accused him of doing something in this manner. So it begs the question whether this is a pattern. Is this pattern recognition? Are we seeing a habit? Is this a habitual thing? Or I think it's very unlikely that 2 different women in 2 different instances would be trying to make these allegations towards you if there wasn't some type of, legitimacy to it, essentially. I don't know. Let's see what else they got to say.
As we know. So that is the latest for all you sleuths, all you detectives, and it is time for the ego thoughts. Now, my opinion has not changed one bit, one iota. I still feel exactly the same as what I said before. The bottom line is we live in a country where they say it is guilty until proven innocent. But judging by the reactions from the media,
No, we live in a society where it's you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but unfortunately, especially if you're a man, especially if you're a black man, you're usually guilty until proven innocent. You know what I mean? When it should be innocent until proven guilty. But we all know that things don't usually work out that way. So
boxing fans, we know that is not the case, and it's almost guilty until you're proven innocent, not innocent until proven guilty. For me, I told you guys from jump, this is Tank's beef. This is not my legal case. I am not a cop. I am not 12. I am not a federale.
Damn.
I'm not with the F.
Y'all saw that uppercut? Yo, Tank is nasty, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Tank is a monster. Yes,
It's not
look
my
at this.
legal case. I am
Look at
not a
this.
cop. I am not
Look,
12. I am not
Weave,
a federale.
bam, done.
I'm not.
Done. Uppercut. Nasty work. Shit. Tank is a problem, bro. I ain't gonna lie. In that ring, he a real life problem. He a real life problem.
With the FBI, ATF, none of them. So we're going to see how this plays out. I'm not going to pass judgment. I don't know the girl. I don't know what allegedly went on. And I haven't seen the tape. So the bottom line is you have a lot of content creators. And this is why I tell you guys, there's a lot of low quality content that is being put out. And it's just meant to shock and clickbait you, and people will put out all types of storylines. But if you did a simple Google search, you'll see these storylines aren't even true, right? There's storylines, Tank's facing eviction or tax problems. His home got raided like he Diddy or something. Take that, take that, take that, take that. And then come to find out, there's nothing to support any of these things. So TMZ, they are on top of it. I do believe he has been apprehended based on their report, but that's all we know. Does he get out on bail? Will they let him bond out? I don't know.
At this point, honestly, they might not let that boy bond out, bail out, nothing. They're going to view him as a flight risk because of his first attempt already at running. I see it as highly unlikely that they would actually release him on bond or bail or anything of the sort, simply because you've already proven that you are a huge flight risk. You know what I mean? You was on the run for 2 weeks. They was on your ass searching for 2 weeks. You think they're gonna let you go once they finally caught up with you and got you in cuffs and got you back in, you know what I mean? They hands like, yeah, nah, it's slow for you, bro. I ain't gonna lie. It's slow for that. They about to book my boy.
And you notice, even with TMZ, they be clickbaiting, but you notice when they don't know the information, they don't fill in the blanks. It was like, at this time, we don't know how he was tracked down, which is somewhat of the journalistic integrity that is lacking in the sport of boxing. Everybody else, they'll wait for the report from TMZ to come out, and then they'll start ad-libbing and acting like they knew this was happening. They knew this was the outcome. They knew what was going on. And in all actuality, they ain't no So it is what it is. I find this particular storyline to be very interesting because, again, you got a lot of people who are claiming to be in the know, but then why did TMZ break the story? If you know so much, why did you not break the story?
Okay, interesting.
And get all the clicks to yourself, or at least the initial early impressions. So for me, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully you guys are happy that Tank has been apprehended. You have people, content creators and stuff like, Tank, turn yourself in. And it's funny because a lot of these dudes pretend that they're street dudes, but then they were quick to snitch, right? DJ Academics put out a video urging fans to collect some kind of 10K reward for snitching on Tank's whereabouts.
Yo, listen, I think we can all agree DJ Academics is weird. Okay? I think we can all cohesively agree DJ Academics is not real right. You know what I mean? He be moving type weird.
Whereabouts. What part of hip hop is that? What part of the game is that? What part of being from the streets and being a street dude? You guys let me know what part of the game that is and what code that y'all follow. Because I found that to be weird that people were meddling and getting involved in a case that really didn't have nothing to do with them, and they were interjecting themselves in a snitchery type of way. Like, yeah, Tank, turn yourself in before this gets worse. Yeah, Tank, oh my gosh, you're going to get in a shootout. Just surrender, Tank. Like, what is going on in urban culture, in hip-hop culture, where you could be Tekashi, you could be Gunna, you could snitch.
It's in a very weird space. I made a whole video about the state of hip hop, you know, corporate influence, what hip hop was supposed to be at its origin, and you know what I mean, what it was meant to be for, you know, artistic expression, speak about the atrocities within communities, etc., you know, be a voice for the people. It went from being that to being a pawn to corporate America in order to enrich themselves while disenfranchising the artists that they are signing, you know, in lucrative deals for themselves, but are going to put these artists in very, very bad situations in a legal aspect, you know, and just promoting the most degenerate aspects of Black culture, you know, influencing the masses within America, and let alone shit, not just America, the world at this point, because let's not act like hip hop and Black culture doesn't influence everything. So yeah, I made a whole video about that. Y'all can go check that out. Y'all might see it up here somewhere, floating up there. I can click on that, check that out. But I think hip hop is heading back to a good place.
And it's not even frowned upon anymore. So again, it's not defending Tank. I'm just speaking from the heart, letting you know what it is. He has to deal with whatever causes situation. And, you know, he got a team, he got a legal team. I'm sure he'll do it. So
yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, stop making dumb decisions. The higher you climb up the ladder of success, you need to move very, very intelligently. You know what I mean? You need to become a tactician, per se. Anything that will, you know, hurt you in one capacity or another, you need to be very smart with how you navigate through these things. And yes, women are a huge, you know what I mean, a huge part of that decision making. How you deal with them, the type of women you deal with. Are you willing to put yourself in a fucked up, heinous situation due to a woman's allegations towards you? You know what I mean? Like, you need to move smart. You need to move very, very smart. You know what I mean? We've seen great men within the Bible be brought down by women, okay? Because you're not being smart, okay? Women themselves aren't the problem. It is men and how they navigate with women. That is the problem. You move stupid when you see a baddie in front of you, you know what I mean? And you start making dumb decisions. That's a man problem, respectfully, okay? So yeah, don't be dumb, guys. Don't be putting your hands on these women. Don't be doing no stupid shit, especially if you are incredibly successful, because they will tear you down in a heartbeat, all right? They're gonna give you everything you want just to see you fall. You know what I mean? They build you up so they could tear you down. It's really that type of time, you know what I mean? So yeah, I ain't gonna talk too much. Be smart out here, make good decisions, all right? And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.